Hello, we are live outside the new courthouse. This is our second go round at this Antar's trial. This is the first trial was delayed on the state's attorney's motion due to an officer in training. I was in there for a short period of time. I saw it was maybe two, three cops out in the waiting room. So I would think that this case would go to trial today. But who knows? Who knows? It could be some more type of delays or anything like that. Mr. Baker is charged with obstruction charge, obstruction, and criminal trespass. This might be some repeated history or some rehashing of old covered topics already, but I think it's important because that's the case what he's going for. Only time he's been arrested in Rockford, only time he's been arrested. And the charge came from we're almost a year. It's almost a year since this case, and it's the first case. The most important thing and the most significant thing might be it's the first case of somebody who has been arrested during a protest, and that has been I believe it's been over 70 arrests in total, over 50 people arrested multiple times, some multiple times, and this is the first case that go to trial for an obstruction charge and a criminal trespass. I'm gonna pass it to you. Just I don't even know if we really talked about this. How do you think this trial gonna? How do you think it's gonna go? To think that over a little bit less than a year, just a little bit less than a year, over 11 months, but a little less than a year, and it's all supposedly gonna be wrapped up in an hour. How do you? I don't know if that's good news or bad news.
I think. I think him having Antar has a bench trial, which is different than anybody else who has elected to continue going forward with their cases. Everybody else has chosen to have a jury trial. So I think that one of the main differences, or one of the main components that will determine how this goes is how the judge interprets the things that happened. And I do think the way that a judge will interpret the arrest and the protest and the occupation will be different than how a civilian would interpret the protest and the occupation. Now, I don't know which, I don't know which is better or worse, but I do think that it is a difference. So I think that will be one of the main components, is how the judge interprets the protest and the occupation. I think one of the other things that'll be important is the evidence that is presented, and what evidence is presented. There are videos that should be shown in court of the arrest that took place on October 5th, I believe is the date. And again, for people who may be unaware, what happened was on October 3rd, the May 30th Alliance and other activists and community members began an occupation of the City Hall in Rockford, Illinois. That occupation began in the back of City Hall. It began with a lot of people, 20 to 30 people, at different times, fluctuating with maybe more than that or less than that. But at the point in which Antar was arrested, him, myself, and Asia were all sitting in chairs in the back of City Hall, not blocking the entrance, not blocking where people go to pay their water bills or anything of that nature. You could get in and out very easily. Everything was still accessible. And when Kyle Saunders came out initially, who was the head of Public Works, who is apparently one of the witnesses that the state is calling today, we've seen him go into the building back here. When he came out, with multiple police officers, and one of those police officers had their baton drawn out, and he came out in a threatening manner, threatening us if we did not move from sitting in the chairs in front of or in the back of City Hall. It should be also pointed out that there was a designated protest area that Kyle Saunders and Public Works in the city of Rockford created for people to be in. And so it was not as if they were saying that we didn't have the right to be there. They were trying to say we didn't have the right to be in that spot, which again is erroneous. It goes to the hypocritical nature of all these things, that they would arrest people for being at City Hall and charge them with criminal trespass. And then within hours, all the people that they arrested and charged with criminal trespass and obstruction of justice would all be right back at City Hall, right back in, not just in that designated protest area, in all the areas. People would be by the stairs again. People would be by the entrance, the back entrance again. And so I think that that's one of the things that's also very important to note, to take time to point out, is that even after they charged people with criminal trespass for being in this on city property, on public property, people came right back after being arrested. And then one of the things that has happened since then is that they have begun to give bans out to people, which is something that we've documented as well. And so again, another one of the hypocrisies that lies within all these things is that since the initial arrest for criminal trespass that they gave to people outside of City Hall on October 5th, every other time that they have had an issue with something that's going on outside of City Hall, they've banned people. They've given out papers with bans. I've had 3 different bans given to me that state if I go back onto City Hall now that I have this ban, that I would be impossibility of being arrested for criminal trespass. So they haven't even followed the same procedure themselves, the city of Rockford, since these things have happened. What they did on October 5th was illegal. It was a false arrest. We had every right to be there. We had every right to petition the government. We had every right to assemble. And so I think that, again, a lot of it will be on the interpretation of the judge, and then also what all evidence is presented.
I didn't even really think about the interrelatedness of, well, I did think about it, but just not to this extent, between his case and my case as well, because my case stemmed from the designated protest zone in which another person was brutally arrested. So they can't even really say, or realistically, or logically, or truthfully say that he was standing outside the designated protest zone when they gave us a spot to designated protest zone, because there was arrest made in the zone, and because there was brutal arrest made in the zone. So it's not like there was any sort of safe space or anything like that provided by the city. There will never be one. There will never be one. A bench trial. Would you ever do a bench trial?
I mean, I think that it would depend. It just would depend on what the case was and the situation was, and the lawyer, how the lawyer felt or who the lawyer was. I do think that there are some situations where the judge will be a better interpreter of the law than civilians who don't understand the law. I think that the problem that we are in, though, is that the status quo of this city is such that it's very unlikely that it will be any judges that are in positions of power that aren't sort of tied into the status quo. And part of the status quo here does not consist of protesting. I do believe, in a city like Chicago or Seattle or Portland or Atlanta, places that have seen higher caliber protests, higher caliber demonstrations, that you would probably be just as good with a judge with something like this. Something that is, this is not a very complicated situation. It's not ambiguous. No damage to the property happened at City Hall. The arrest had no type of physical nature to it. This is a very easy cut and dry case. Did Antar have the right to sit in a chair in front of City Hall? He was not blocking the entrance for anybody to get into City Hall. He was not disturbing anybody else who was trying to do business at City Hall. And so it just really comes down to the fact of, to the point of, does this judge believe that Antar had the right to protest? Does this judge believe that in him exercising his right to protest, that it was peaceable, as they sort of put in the Constitution, is how it's sort of written. The word peaceable is involved in there, which, I think is there's a dialogue that has to be had around that as well. But again, that's not the case for this specific arrest. This specific arrest is very cut and dry. It's very to the point. And again, to me, the main thing, one of the main components that has to be remembered is that the way they handled things on October 5th, they never handled things that way again. They never blatantly charged people and arrested people for criminal trespass again. They gave out bans and paperwork and all things that, even though those bans and paperwork are also illegal and bullshit, at least shows you that they realized that they jumped the gun in the way that they handled it at the very beginning.
And the point you're making about, I think this is significant in the fact that the allegations are so obviously false, or so blatantly false. Is, like you said, is video footage of nearly the entire day that they have, and that we have as well, as video footage of this entire day. So for them to blatantly lie and say that, I believe they had put out a statement. I don't know if it's from the mayor's statement. I don't know if this is the allegation, the city statement. They had said that we were blocking the handicap ramp, which nobody was at all, and that there was blocking doors and people couldn't get in and out of doors. And again, that's the type of thing to where it makes me think is, how often do this happen in this city? How often do normal, everyday citizens, everyday community members get into some type of situation where police officers are around, and police officers lie in their police reports, to use any type of excuse to exert their power and to exert their use of force? That's really what it made me think about. I think that even though we are in a situation to where we have video evidence of this, and there is proof of this, and we have the I don't know, it's proof, it's video proof of all this. It makes me think about all the people who are, it's highlighting the issue of police officers lying in their reports, finding any excuse to exert their power, finding any excuse to arrest you and send you to jail for a false imprisonment. I was just, somebody in there, my fault, I was in there for another case. Somebody in there had said, they was in jail at the time, and they had said that they had been falsely imprisoned for over a month. It said 34 days. Had been falsely imprisoned for 34 days. At the end of the 34 days, the charges were dropped, and they were just let go. So what was done, and he tried to use it in his benefit. That's probably a mistake on his part. He said, I never asked for reparations. I never asked for any type of repayment for you falsely imprisoning me. But how many times does that actually happen to where it make me think again about the first arrest during the city market. It make me think of the first arrest in city market where, not the first, the felonies arrest for city market, where people had to wait a weekend in jail just for the judge to tell them, okay, you can go. A weekend in jail just to get a recog bond. My fault. I'm not. I'm be honest.
Yeah, one of the things that happened at the very beginning of all of this, well, not the very beginning, but one of the things that happened earlier this year when Jay Hanley was elected into office was that his administration went through some of the charges and some of the files from people who had been arrested previously, and they found somebody who had been sitting in jail for over a year who was charged with murder, who once they checked his alibi and checked his work records, they found that he was at work the time that this murder took place, and so he could not have committed the murder. But this man sat in jail inside of Winnebago County Jail for a year before he could be vindicated and allowed to walk free. In last year, at the beginning of last year, at the beginning of last year of 2020, 3 men were awarded $3 million each for being falsely imprisoned for a murder that took place in Rockford years ago. And as Ari pointed out, there have been multiple people who have been charged with besides just the felonies that certain people had. There's been misdemeanors and misdemeanor charges as well that people have been charged with, that their charges have been dismissed. Even as we sit here today, again, another one of the things that's just important to point out is that three people were arrested at the same time that Antar was arrested, or Antar was arrested along with two other people. One of those people, Asia, has had her charges dismissed and her charges dropped. Antar is currently going forward with these charges with the bench trial, and I'm still awaiting trial, a jury trial for these same charges. And so one of the things that we're going to have here is we're going to have three different ways, three different interpretations of justice, which in my personal opinion, the fact that it is an interpretation makes it so that I don't know if you can call it justice. I don't know that I don't believe that if the state's attorney dismisses the charges for Asia, and then Antar has to continue to go to court and then has to go through the psychological trauma of a trial, that even if he is told by the judge that he's not guilty, I don't believe that that's justice either, because the moment that those charges, what's up, brother? The moment that those charges were dismissed for Asia, justice would have been those charges being dismissed for Antar and for myself as well. And this is something that has been a common occurrence also as we've gone through this process, is that people have been arrested. 4 or 5 people will be arrested, or 10 people, or whatever. A multitude of people will be arrested at the same time, and then 1 or 2 of those people will have their charges dismissed. I was arrested another week at the same time as Asia was arrested, and her charges have been dismissed for that case, and I'm continuing to go ahead and face charges. I'm still continuing and awaiting a trial. And so to me, that's the one of the other parts that's not communicated and spoken about enough, is just the discretion and the power that not only the police department have in being able to arrest you for something that you didn't do, and then forcing you to be in a position where you have to prove your innocence. Again, even though you're raised and taught that you're innocent until proven guilty, the system is set up in a way in which you are treated as if you are guilty until you can prove your innocence. So when somebody accuses you of a crime, you don't go to court first, you go to jail first, you get arrested first. And being arrested is a sign of guilt. It's not a neutral action. Being arrested is not something that's neutral. And so that's another form and another way in which injustice comes down. The police have so much power. The police don't know the laws. The police don't go to law school. The police are not obligated to read through law books or read through all the citation policies and things of that nature. They're given a gun and a badge, and they're given a gun and a badge and power to use their discretion as they go out on the streets. And then you see that same thing amplified once you get to a place of the state's attorney. The state's attorney, they do go to school and they do learn law books and learn these laws, but the discretion that they have, again, to pick and choose whose cases get dismissed, to pick and choose what kind of plea deals they offer to people, and to pick and choose which things go forward to trial. And again, even once you get to trial, if you have a jury trial, the discretion they have to pick and choose who the jurors will be. All of these things go towards continuing injustice and continuing unfairness and a biased way of this system operating. And I believe that we have to. One of the things that has been important is that we've every step of the way we've documented what these experiences are like in Rockford. And so I think that as we get here to this trial for Antar, that this is another thing to be documented, is what this experience is like when everybody knows that you clearly did not commit what it is that you are being charged with, and what it is that you are what it is that you are facing legally. But still, none of that matters unless the state's attorney decides to drop the charges. And if the state's attorney doesn't decide to drop the charges, then you have to deal with whatever discretion that the judge uses, or whatever discretion that the jury uses. And so to me, these are just all different layers and all different levels of how we end up in a place where you can be arrested for something that you didn't do. Then you can be prosecuted for something that you didn't do. Then you can be found guilty for something that you didn't do. And you can be imprisoned, whether that be imprisoned physically behind jail bars, or whether that be, as we've read about in the new Jim Crow this type of I don't know I can't remember the word she used, but like this cyber prison basically, where you have to check in with a PO, or you have to do drops, or you have court supervision and you can't get arrested, or you can't get a citation, or you can be faced a stiffer penalty for certain things. And so to me, one of the other important parts about all of this is just continuing to document all the different ways that injustice can take place in the city, which is, for me personally, this has been a continuing educating experience, even as we sit here awaiting this trial, with understanding that the trial for the murder of Jovan Fresco will take place in about a month. We still have multiple other protesters who are facing prosecution, and so this will not be the last time that we are outside of the Justice Center speaking about these things.
You said one thing about the police not knowing the laws, and almost to a point where they don't. Even if they do know the laws, it don't matter whether their knowledge of the laws. It don't matter their knowledge of the citation, to where they could have they could be fully well aware that it's not in their policy. They could be fully well aware that it's breaking some type of law, and nothing will happen to them. It will be a situation where an officer can act in his whatever state of mind he is in. He can do whatever he wants, and they'll say some type of condition that he felt scared for his life. He thought that this might go this way, or his state of mind was this way, to where everything he did was justified. I just read this thing in the newspaper where they had said, it was talking about, I didn't know this, that the turning right on a red, it was a big law in like the 80s. It was a big law. They was fighting it back and forth. They was fighting it. People were saying people were saying that, okay, you're basically allowing people to turn right on red, to go on red. That red don't mean stop no more. Red mean go. Red mean go. That's what people in protest were saying. And the person who wrote this article had been hurt in some way, but he has said that he had talked to the traffic sergeant of the Rockford Police Department, and the traffic sergeant had said, we like traffic. We like laws that move traffic. We like this law. And the person had said that they had told them, if a cop likes the law, he's going to enforce it. If a cop doesn't like the law, he's just going to ignore it. And that feel like the same way, to where that type of discretion a police officer has, and that type of discretion that a state's attorney has, to where a police officer can put himself into a situation, needlessly put himself into a situation, and arrest you for something that he wants to arrest you on, and that state's attorney has that same discretion to bring you to charge. I'm trying to think of this. Who was it that you said that the state's attorney, actually the most powerful person, the prosecutor, the most powerful person? Yeah, the prosecutor, the most powerful person. That was in the new Jim Crow. It's been a while. It's one of the books that you just got to go back and read. You got to go back and. I'm wondering how long this is gonna go. They said about an hour.
Yeah, but don't it close? You know what time it close?
The time close?
I think there's a certain time where like they stop. It ends or whatever.
What do you think will happen then?
I don't know.
I think they would have to finish it. Yeah, I think they would have to finish it today.
I 100% think
so. Today's been a busy day, just in general. Today it's been a busy day. Carla Red, who was there that day, and who was the deputy chief in charge that day, who ordered some of these arrests, was there that day and antagonizing people and ordering people's arrests. What do you think that says today? Just to think that the person who was in charge that day, the person who was the assistant deputy chief, that was her district, just got promoted to be the police chief. Do you think that might have any sort of effect at all, or any type of thing at all?
Well, I don't know if it'll have any type of. I don't think it'll have any type of. Well, I don't know. I shouldn't say I don't think. I'm not sure if it'll have any type of sway on how things go inside of here. But I do think that her being sworn in today just goes towards one of the things that we've spoken about, and I've spoken about specifically, is that these actions all. These actions and these events all sort of are coupled together. And once you start paying attention to them and keeping receipts and keeping tabs on certain things, you see how often these events sort of line up with each other, So I've got again, part of it is because the problem is so intertwined and so ingrained into the society that once you start paying attention to all the side effects of the problems, you can't help but having some commonalities, whether it be whether it be an officer that's involved in multiple events of police terrorism, whether it be a day in which multiple things happen, like someone being killed, someone being shot, or a justification, or whether it be the birthday of some of the victims, or whether it be the same day that somebody was found to be falsely arrested or found innocent of a crime, and now with the protests that we've been having, that sort of added another layer of having more involvement with certain police officers, and another layer of having more events that sort of have happened at the same time and stuff like that. And so I think that it's unfortunate that we aren't in a position where we have the type of legal defense where Carla Red would have to be here today to testify and be on the stand. I think that I think that as many of these police officers and these city officials that we can have that have to come and testify and sit on the stand and on court documented records speak about the actions that they took part in, the better. I think that one of the things that this trial has also pointed out, which is a little off topic of Carla Red, is just the overwhelming nature that the public defender system deals with, and how these public defenders, it's very rare that they will be equipped to handle the cases that they have, because of the workload they have, because of the fact that the system is built for them to have too many cases, for them to know all the cases intimately, and for them to be able to struggle and fight for each case in a way that is deserving for the individual facing charges. The system is set up for them to be able to make plea deals for people. That's why they work so closely. They see these state's attorneys every day. They see these judges every day, and they get in a groove of making deals. There's in the new Jim Crow, as we were just speaking about in some of these things here, one of the things Michelle Alexander said is that if even 50% of the people who were arrested and had charges were to go through to trial, that it would break the system, that the system wouldn't work anymore. The system is completely and totally operated off of plea deals being struck. And so when you get into a situation where you're innocent of what you're charged with, the lawyer, and you have a public defender, your lawyer, their secondary skill is going to trial. Their primary skill is making a deal. And somebody who is innocent is not going to want to make a deal. And so you automatically end up in a situation when you have a public defender that you are depending on the thing that they are not the best at, or the thing that they are the second best at, or the thing that they do not the most often, but the second most often. I would even make the argument that it's cases being or not even argument. This is a fact. It's either cases are pled out, they're dropped, and then they go to trial. So really, the thing that they deal with the third most often is going to trials. They very rarely go to these trials. And so you end up in a situation when you are innocent of a crime that you are hoping that somebody who does not usually go to trial will have the competency to go to trial, and then also you need them to be good at the trial. And if they're not having practice of being in the trials and doing trials, it's almost backwards or naivete to think that they will be good at the trial. And so I'm not sure the way we would be able to find it out, but I would be interested to know how many trials Antar's lawyer has even had to go through. How many trials has he went through this year? How many times has he defended somebody who has protested or has had any experience with protesting? And so I think those are some of that was just sort of off on a tangent, a little separate from Carla Red. But again, just to get back on the Carla Red being sworn in today, I think it's very significant that on the day that Carla Red was sworn in, and that we're going to have to hear about for the next months, how we have a new black police chief, a new black woman police chief, new woman police chief, that is very impactful, and it's very telling that at the same time the first person is going to trial for the movement for Black lives. That's what this trial is, that's what these things predicated for and began on. Again, and it's not to say, because I know that this is one of the things that is point of contention a lot. This is not an issue in the city that only affects black people, but it is an issue that predominantly affects black people. It's not an issue that only affects black men, but it is an issue that predominantly affects black men. And so it's no way to have the conversation of how Rockford is progressing because there's a black police chief without also having the conversation of how Rockford is regressing by trying to prosecute a black man for protesting, for sitting down in a chair. And again, I think that it's not enough ways to say that these people these first set of people that were arrested while sitting down in a chair. The second set of people that were arrested for protesting in a public space. There's been, and again, and I've said this multiple times, and it's not because I think that it would not be justified. Based off the things I've seen here in this last year, anything that happens to this city would be in justification. When you falsely arrest people, when you assault people, when you shoot people for running away, when you justify shooting people for running away, when you criminalize people's children, when you won't give people the respect and the humanity of having a dignified conversation with the loved ones of these people who you do these acts to, whatever happens, you are is completely within the realms of not only possibility, but in completely within the realms of what should happen or what could happen. So if people were looting stores tomorrow, if people were burning down the Justice Center or burning down the police district, it would be a litany list of receipts that could tell you why these things are happening and why we have gotten to this place. But as it stands, that is not what has happened. That is not what Antar is sitting in there on trial for. He's not in trial for looting Target or for burning down Target or for burning down the Justice Center. He's on trial for sitting in a chair in front of City Hall. And if that is, and again, I think it's important to point out, if we live in a city which will not hold true to the right for people to assemble, that will not hold true for the right to people to protest, then you get to a place where you leave people less options. If you won't give people the option to peacefully protest or to non-violently protest, then you can't be surprised when other people see those things and they decide that's not the way that they want to go about it. You can't be surprised if somebody sees Antar being arrested and charged with criminal trespass and they decide, instead of doing that, I'm gonna throw a brick through the window and I'm gonna run, or I'm gonna throw a Molotov cocktail and I'm gonna run. Because this is what happens when you criminalize the people who are doing it in a way that is more digestible for certain people. You get to a place where other people will not have the desire to do it in those ways. And so, again, some of that was off on a tangent and not exactly directed at Carla Red. But I do believe that all of those things are points that we have to have a deeper conversation about and a deeper dialogue about. And again, I believe that we've done the work of initiating that deeper dialogue and that deeper conversation. But we still have a very, very long way to go.
I don't know if this is a coincidence or this might just be just a happenstance that this happened this way. But as I was in there, I had seen some of the witnesses that are going to testify on the state's behalf, and I believe three of them were white blonde women. And I'm trying to think back and remember the video of Antar's arrest, and I remember him being like jerked up a little bit. It wasn't like he was peaceful. He was peaceful during his arrest, but he was jerked up by a police officer. And I believe it was grown men that did this. Grown men that grabbed his arms and yanked him up. So, do you think it's any relevancy to the fact that it's three white women police officers who did not participate in the Antar's arrest at all? Maybe have been his transport. I can't even think of their involvement at any point. Three white women testifying on the state's behalf for Antar's freedom.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the setup for these are. A lot of police officers. One of the things that has been common is that a lot of police officers will be around when these events take place. We've been told by an assistant deputy chief that the person who arrests you is not the person who is listed as your arresting officer. Again, to me, that is nonsensical. There is a specific person who puts handcuffs on you, who makes the arrest. For them to not be the person who is your arresting officer on the paperwork, to me, just goes to show a covering up of a paper trail, or it's a corruptness of a paper trail, and it keeps it so that if something happens to you when you are arrested by person A, it's no way for you to know that because person B is on your paperwork. And so I think that it's very possible that they have multiple officers in there who weren't involved in Antar being arrested, who maybe were at the scene or in the periphery area, but were not directly involved in the arrest of Antar. And again, we've seen that manifest just earlier this year when on January 5th, 2020, Dominic McNeese was listed as the arresting officer on the paperwork of Denzel Duvant, and the city and even a police officer that we had a conversation with said that didn't mean he was the one who arrested Denzel Duvant, that just was the person who put their name on the paperwork. And again, I think that one of the things that you can't get just from reading books, one of the things you can't get just from watching people give speeches, or from just having conversations with another person, is the firsthand experience that we have had with how things go in this city, with how things are operated on this city. There's no books that are written specifically about the Rockford Police Department or specifically about how things happen in Winnebago County. And so even though we can read things, the new Jim Crow, which talks about policing in general and the end of policing and locking up our own, all these different books which talks about policing in a broad sense, you have to be able to apply those things that are written about in a broad sense to what you are experiencing specifically in your city and in your county. And that's why when people say, we're Black Lives Matter or we're part of Black Lives Matter, I disagree with it, and I explain how. Do I believe that Black Lives Matter is a movement that is necessary to exist? Yes. Do I believe that Black Lives Matter as an organization have very important organizational beliefs and ideological beliefs that this country and that this world needs? Yes, I do believe that. But we are the May 30th Alliance because the issues that we are speaking about are specifically here in Rockford, Illinois, are specifically here in Winnebago County. We're named the May 30th Alliance after an event that took place just up the street here on May 30th when people were assaulted by members of the police department and were assaulted by members of the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies. The names that we have on the memorials downtown are not the names that are nationally known and get national attention and that you've seen on TV shows and on TV stations and online. They are names of people who were killed within Winnebago County. When we speak about police officers and when we speak about political people in positions of political power or politicians, we're not speaking about Joe Biden or speaking about any Kamala Harris or this general sense. We're speaking about Tom McNamara. We're speaking about Chiarelli. We're speaking about people who have who exist here and whose decisions affect the people who live here. And so I think that we have to continue to do the job of getting firsthand information about what is going on here and allowing that to lead the conversation, not allowing things outside of Rockford or outside of Winnebago County to lead the conversation, because changes that happen outside of Rockford and outside of Winnebago County does not mean that those changes will happen here. We watched as Brooklyn Center, when Dante Wright was murdered, we watched as the woman who murdered him was arrested and was charged with the crime charged with a form of the crime she committed. And as we seen that happen, we seen Jose Gonzalez Jr. be shot while running away by Owen McGinnis. And in a couple of weeks, Owen McGinnis is going to go back to work and they'll justify it. We seen Faustin Guaitigo be murdered inside of his home, and we seen them justify Faustin Guaitigo being murdered inside of his home, and Joseph Brulard go back to work. We seen Denzel Duvant be assaulted and beat by multiple police officers, and nothing happened for Denzel Duvant being assaulted and beat by multiple police officers. And so I think we just one of the other things that I think I have pulled from this experience and has been important to pull from this experience is firsthand education and firsthand knowledge of how these issues look in Rockford, Illinois, how these issues look in Winnebago County, and who are the people that are perpetuating these issues in Rockford, Illinois, and perpetuating these issues in Winnebago County.
Seeing more people trickle out made me think it's about ready to close. Okay. The first trial. What did the first trial mean to me? The first trial. Really, I'm trying to think about what is the maximum penalty. What's the maximum?
I think criminal trespass is like a year.
A year in the county jail. Maximum. That's a maximum.
I think I don't know.
Then the obstruction. I think the obstruction less. Is it obstruction? I was trying to think. Is it disorderly 30 days, and the obstruction is a year, or is the obstruction 30 days and the disorderly a year? I think I want to say the disorderly 30 days. So I'm trying to think, because it is some type of possibility where Antar get found guilty and just end up going outside the back door.
Yeah. Unlikely, but still.
Unlikely. You would.
100%.
Yeah.
The law is written for that to be a possibility. Damn.
I wouldn't think that would be the case. Somebody who has no criminal record or anything like that, I wouldn't think that would be the case. But my fault. Let me just get this untangled. It's starting to rain. You feel them drops? It's starting to rain. I would think that. I'm trying to think about any conditions that Antar faced as a result of him being arrested. Any pretrial conditions he faced. I know it was a misdemeanor charge, but the nature of some of these pretrial conditions are to a point to where you're almost found guilty. It's to a point to where you're almost like you're on probation already when you haven't been found guilty on any type of crime. And if you violate these orders, if you violate these conditions on your bond, then you'll be sentenced to jail again for crimes you have not yet been found guilty of. So I'm thinking just about the different ways that they can send you to jail, the different ways that they can imprison you. And every time I'm here, I always think about Gina Washington and Joseph McCormick, and just I don't know. I was getting to that state of mind of. Is this a cell? Is this a cell? What happened here?
Right.
I had read earlier, a long time ago, somebody has said that Donald Gasparini, who ran the old jail, the old jail, said there wasn't a day where, what do you call them? Jailers. He was calling them jailers, COs. He was calling them jailers. There wasn't a day where a jailer don't go into a cell and get into a fight. That there wasn't a day where that don't happen. So every time we hear inside... those thoughts always remain really prevalent and really relevant to my mind. Just the conditions inside the jail overall. And that's the kind of a hard thing and difficult thing to really campaign for, because we're not necessarily campaigning or even want better conditions inside the jail. We'd be better off. It would be no jail at all. It would be no jail at all. So I'm thinking about... So the day of in question here, day 3, October 5th. You said they came out of the doors, right? I'm trying to remember. I was cross street. They came out the back doors, and there was no type of questioning or nothing like that. It was just straight to the handcuffs.
Yeah. They came out the back door. Kyle had already came up maybe about 45 minutes, an hour earlier. He said 15, 20 minutes, but it took about 45 minutes, I'm guessing, for them to get all the officers there on the scene. And I do remember that when they did come to make their arrest, they had a plethora of police officers that were there. They did take, that was one of the things that indicated to us that they may come to try to arrest people is that we seen the accumulation of officers on the other side of where the Chase Bank was at, and again, it was way more officers than was necessary or needed for the situation. But that's one of the the tactics that they use, and it was a set of police officers, I'm not sure how many, who came out the back door, grabbed us from behind, handcuffed us from behind, lifted us up out of our chairs from behind, and handcuffed us and charged us with criminal trespass and obstruction. And again, I'm not really sure what the nature of the obstruction charge they're going to say is. I'm not sure if they're going to say that. I'm not sure what the nature of the obstruction charge they're going to say is. But that was sort of the manner in which we were arrested. Again, these is multiple videos of these things. I'm not I know Dinez -X has a video of probably the best video of the arrest that took place that day, but that video is also on our YouTube page, and I think it might also be on our Facebook page as well. But one of the things that I have that's also true is that there's a video of this from the city that they should have, and I'm not sure if the city will enter that into evidence or not. I think one of the things that also has to be sort of discussed is the fact that the police department, the city of Rockford, the sheriff's deputies, they have all primarily because they know that these charges are bullshit and that they've weaponized the police for political reasons and for their political agendas. They have withheld evidence and withheld video evidence. There shouldn't be a question as to whether or not there shouldn't be a question. Somebody's rim fell off. It shouldn't be a question as to whether or not I always wonder when you see like rims on the ground, like damn, you run it over, yep, running it over, bang, dang, that barely missed it. And so the police gonna run it over. Oh, they didn't run it over. Okay, I sort of lost where I was at. But no, there's video evidence from not only the arrest that took place outside of City Hall, but there's also video evidence from multiple arrests that took place at City Market that has not been turned over. My personal experience in dealing with this is my lawyer at maybe not the court that I just had on Monday, but my lawyer at the previous court date asked for a delay on the trial status hearing, asked for a delay on going forward to trial because he had just been given over 40 hours of video footage by the police department and by the sheriff's deputies that he had been trying to get for an extended period of time, and it had just been given to him. And then even after he spoke in the courtroom about how he had just got this video evidence and he needs to go through and watch all this video evidence, he said that the state's attorney said they also hadn't had the video evidence and that they also needed to go through and watch this video evidence. And so that gets you back to the place where it's two things I want to point out from that. I don't want to lose them. One of the things I want to point out is that you have these state's attorneys who are prosecuting cases that they are not even adequately informed about. I was told once that also that the state's attorney who was going forward with my charges, that they didn't even want to go forward with the charges, but they didn't have any choice because Jay Hanley was making them go forward with the charges. And then on the side of, but again, that's a point I wanted to make. But then besides that, again, the fact that the police department is not releasing all video footage to the prosecutors and to the public defender lets you know that they know some of that video footage is damning. The fact that the sheriff's deputies is not releasing all that video footage to the state's attorney, to the prosecutor, is because they know some of that footage is damning, and it's not damning for me as the person being charged with the crime. It's damning for them as the ones who have made these false arrests, as the ones who have given these trumped up charges to people. And again, that's one of those things that if you don't experience yourself, if you're not seeing these things firsthand, you don't really understand the gravity of them. You don't really understand the duplicitousness and the deception that is done. Again, I heard this in a TV show when I was younger, and Well, I heard it's two different sayings, but one I heard on a TV show when I was younger, one I heard in a movie when I was younger. And at the time when I heard them, they just seemed like real good lines in a movie and a TV show. They didn't really seem like anything that that was going to significantly impact my life. But I remember watching Training Day, and one of the lines Denzel's character infamously says is, "It's not what you know, it's what you can prove." And at the time, I was a kid watching a movie, that didn't really register with me highly. But now being older and having dealt with police officers in this past 15 months more, and I've been told by a police officer after I'm telling them that that I haven't committed this charge or I haven't committed this crime. Well, that's what court's for. Which to me is just another way of saying it's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And that's what's going on behind us. It's not about what we know to be true of what Antar's done or what we know to be true about what the protests and the demonstrations. It's about what can be proven. And since it's about what can be proven, when the city withholds evidence, it makes it harder to prove something. When the city workers are in bed with the police and in bed with the state's attorney, it makes it harder to prove something. When the system is set up against you, it makes it harder to prove something. And then one of the other things that I saying that stuck with me is that inside the courtroom, it's not about whether you are guilty or not guilty. It's about the state's attorney trying to win their case. It's about winning. You're no longer in a situation where it's about justice. You are in a situation where it is about winning. And as anybody who has dealt with any type of competitive sports or anything in competition, people will win by any means necessary. A state's attorney, and this has happened infamously, a state's attorney will have evidence brought forward to them that disproves the charges that they have up against somebody, and they withhold the evidence. They hide the evidence. They don't bring the evidence to the forefront. And again, that's not because they believe that this person is guilty and the evidence is just not supporting it. It's because they fear that evidence coming out will make them lose the game that they are playing inside of this building. And this game comes at the expense of people's lives, and it disproportionately comes at the expense of the lives of black people. It disproportionately comes at the expense of the lives of brown people. It disproportionately comes at the expense of the lives of poor people, and it disproportionately comes at the expense of the lives of working class people. And so I think one of the things that we have done and we must continue to do is to give a voice to those groups of people. Is to give light to the things that those groups of people in this city experience. And so I think that no matter what the verdict is, whether it's guilty or not guilty, that is one of the things that that has been accomplished here. And that's rings true for all of us. It rings true for me and for anybody else that's been involved in these protests and these demonstrations. The fact that innocent verdict coming out is damning to the state's attorney's office and to the police department and to the city officials who have continued to try to persecute people for protesting and demonstrating. But a guilty verdict coming out to me is damning of the institution of the Winnebago County Justice Center, the institution of the judges, the institution of the public defender's office, and the institution of the state's attorney's office. And so I do believe we are 100% in a win-win situation. And I think that we have been in this win-win situation, but a lot of these wins are not wins that you feel the joy of triumph from immediately. They are wins that the triumph is told throughout history, the progression you see throughout time happening. And so I do believe that we sit here and Antar is not the one that is on trial. Antar may be the one whose name is on this paperwork and things of that nature, but the city of Rockford is on trial. The Winnebago County State's Attorney is on trial. Even the public defender, the judge, these institutions are on trial, and I believe this is just the beginning of that trial. It's not the ending of it or the middle of it. All of these things are the very beginnings of these things.
The first of many trials to come. The first of many trials to come. What you were saying about the state's attorney not being able to turn over evidence or withholding evidence, and that made me think about just personal experience where I was just in the nature of just going through different people's court dates and things. I remember hearing one case about, and I don't think this is nobody's involved, just the case that came up where the public defender had requested video footage from the fire department, the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department, the Rockford Police Department, and nobody had turned over the video. And it got to a point where the judge was almost angry. He was yelling at the state's attorney, saying, "You need to have what's going on? They need to turn over the video." But then you still have situations today where the Rockford Police, just recently it came up again where it was requested a subpoena that the Rockford Police Department turn over more video. And again, the judge would say, somebody would raise the question, what happened if they don't? And the judge would say, I'll deal with it if it don't. But we've seen multiple times where they don't turn it over, and nothing happened. The state's attorney gets yelled at for a little bit, and nothing really happened. And that made me think about Denzel Duvant. That made me think about the waiting period and the back and forth that had to go just to get the video footage from Fairgrounds from Denzel Duvant. That made me think of the video footage that they're still withholding for Tyrus Jones. That all the video footage from the entire intersection that they're withholding, all the video footage that they withheld in past shootings. That's what really it's the complete discretion in all the rules, the complete and utter discretion from top to bottom, complete discretion. So then we get into a place where we have to think about. It's been certain times where you go into the courtroom and you realize you're there for one thing, but everything really out of your hands. Everything really out of your hand. I was just in there for a short period of time, and it was doing felony arraignments, and whatever the state's attorney wanted, it pretty much granted. Like whatever the public defender had to say was pretty much a formality. Just okay, we're gonna let you say something because this is the part where you say something. Like they play in a role to where you have to look at this Winnebago County Jail, the Winnebago County Justice Center, as this probably the most profitable building in Rockford, probably the most money-making building in Winnebago County, to where the very nature of cash bond, the very nature of being sent to jail for violating bond conditions that you haven't been found guilty of, is to where it's point where it's, what's the proper word for that? Would that be extortion, racketeering, exploitation of. The last time when I had my bond raised, this only time where I've ever been like, I should say something. Should I let this go unaddressed in this courtroom? Schaefer tried to explain the purpose of cash bail. She tried to explain the purpose of cash bail, and her reasoning for the purpose of cash bail was so it could show that somebody is invested in you to where you could conform to the laws and statutes. Even though you have not been going to, like you had said earlier, you get arrested, you go to jail, you're not guilty of any crime yet. You treat it as if you're guilty. You treat it as if you've done something. You treat it as if you are an enemy of the state, but you have not been found guilty of any type of crime. What do you think? And that's something that's coming to an end. So what do you think that would stand on a local level, the ending of cash bond? What do you think that would stand? Willie Buss.
I don't know. We've had a lot of conversations about this, and different people sort of have different beliefs of how things will be. I sort of lean towards if they aren't. I believe that the getting rid of cash bail, just like any form of reform that takes place, if it's not carefully looked at and carefully examined, it can become something that's corrupt. It can become something that is unjust. I 100% believe that there are some people. 100% believe that there are people who will be benefited by cash bail being removed. But I also know that how these institutions work and how these systems work is that there will be people who slip through the cracks and people who are victimized by this lack of cash bail and this lack of this new reform that they have. And again, for me personally, this was something that the idea that reform is just finding a way for this. Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember how Stokely Carmichael put it, but reform is just finding a way for the slaves to become better slaves. And so I do believe that is something that can be a true statement if the reform is done as the solution within itself, as opposed to being done as a step towards getting to a better place. And so I believe that if the reform of getting rid of cash bail is done with the understanding of progressing this past to other reforms and eventually getting to a place where we are building new institutions and new systems to deal with these things, then the cash bail is a positive thing. The same thing where if, this extrapolates out to Carla Red as well. If Carla Red was being hired to be the black woman police chief, and that was going to be some type of step towards progress with the Rockford Police Department, then that within itself would not be a negative thing or a bad thing. But Carla Red becoming the next chief of police as a solution is a negative thing and a bad thing, because it means that because for one, it means that that's all that they're going to do, and also it means that they don't have any plans to change the institution and to change the system. I do believe getting rid of cash bail is sort of a form, a monicum of changing the institution and the system. But since it doesn't have to happen to 2025 for all the places and counties in Illinois, if you allow for these institutions to not have to deal with any type of pressure to continue changes and continue reforms, by the time we get to 2025, they'll have a way to figure out how to have no cash bail and have people under the same type of oppression and the same type of exploitation, and it just look different. And again, I think that one of the other things that has to be spoken about is who's going to be the judges, when this happens, who's going to be the state's attorney when this happens. And so I think that the problem that happens, this has been what I've noticed with people who advocate for reform or call themselves reformers, is they have one or two things that they think should be changed, and they think that with the changing of those one or two things that they will sort of have the trickle-down effect of changing the whole institution. And I don't believe that that's true. I don't believe there's any one form of reform that we can do that will completely change the institution. I don't believe there's any person that can be hired as the chief of police, or any new police officers that can be hired, or the police officers living in the city, all of these different things, or body cameras, all of these different things of steps of reform. I don't believe any one of them by themselves, or even all of them without the desire to make more of them going forward, will get us to a better place, a more humane place, a more empathetic place. And then I also think that we have to do the work of, we can't get caught up in only trying to have policies being changed, that the consciousness of the city, the consciousness of the community has to be changed. The way people view, the way we view other people who are being called criminals or deemed as criminals has to change. The way we view police officers as being these beacons of perfectness for some people has to change. The way we view judges and state's attorneys has to change. There's a lot of work outside of just specific reforms of policies that have to change. And I actually believe that the harder work to be done is changing the consciousness of the community, is changing the belief pattern and the thought pattern and the ideology of the community. And I believe that once those things are changed, it will inevitably have the effect of policies being changed, and inevitably have the effect of statutes and the people who are in these positions being changed. But what I know for a fact won't happen is that just putting different people to be politicians will not change the community. It will not change the ideology of the community, will not change the thought pattern of the community and the consciousness of the community. Just having new reforms will not change the way people, having no more cash bail will not change the fact that certain people see a black person and think that they are a criminal, or certain people see poor people and think that they're criminals, or certain people think whatever you do in the neighborhood where there's some type of criminal activity is okay. Those things won't change just based off of the inside changes. But it is 100% a fact that when the outside changes take place, that when the consciousness of the community changes and takes place, it will force the changes on the inside to happen. And so I think we have to make sure to not fall into the trap of putting all our focus on a policy being changed or a law being changed, and understand that if we change the way people's perspective, which is a harder thing to do, it is more difficult to do, that we can get to the place of these policies and laws changing.
You had said one thing about it taking a new taking a new approach to the oppression. The oppression not really changing, is taking a new. I got the hiccups. Taking a new form. That made me think about, as it relates to Rockford, as marijuana has become more legalized and decriminalized, that the city hall is still making money and still finding people upward hundreds and hundreds of dollars to more often than not young black teenagers and people of color, teenagers of color. So that made me think about, till we get to a place to where, like you had said, who are you going to give this discretion to? Who and how long is that person going to be, as it relates to cash bail? How long is that person going to be required to stay in a jail? Because we've seen cases that have gone. Jovan hasn't gone to trial for 5 years. Would those Metro enforcement agents be forced to stay in the jail for 5 years? I don't think that would be the case. Or would somebody, or would it be a situation like you had said earlier what happened earlier this year, them reviewing the case, where somebody who didn't have no cash bond would have to be forced to wait in the jail for a year, 2 year, 3 year. Many cases in this jail where people have not gone to trial yet. I'm trying to think of his name. I can't think of his name. I can't think of how to properly say it. But somebody who had been shot by the police 3 years ago, I believe, still inside the jail. I don't believe has gone to trial yet. So that just the idea of there's not really one solution to these things. There's not really one quick fix to this thing. That make it to where we have to get to a place as a community where we realize that it's a marathon to these things. We have to realize that it's not any one thing that'll be fixed overnight, not any one thing that'll be fixed by one politician or anything like that. It's going to take the masses, people to come in masses to create change, people to come in masses, to collectively come in masses to people to collectively come in masses to create any type of change. And this is something that we have seen in full transparency. We have seen in the past to where it's been certain point in times where people have come in masses and people have gathered and they have called for change, but then they have been sidetracked by reforms. They've been sidetracked by these new ways of oppression, these new ways of using the same tactics, these new forms of these things, to where we get to a point where they say it was over 1,000 of people in the streets after Mark Barmo was murdered in this church. And that led us to, and people was calling 100 reforms, 100 things were suggested, and they chose one. 100 things were suggested, and they chose to have police officers investigate each other. One of the most, how do I want to say it? One of the most, I don't even know what's corrupt. One of the most corrupt things in the city, to where police officers who regularly work with each other, regularly engage with each other in task force, during protests, we've seen them work with each other, where they investigate each other and justify these shootings, justify each shooting time and time again. To where we see it, and that realize that after that change, after there was a collective thought, and there was people coming together in mass, can't let ourselves be sidetracked, or can't let ourselves be disillusioned to thinking that reforms will take change and provide any type of any type of reparations or any type of justice for the people who have been victimized by the system for decades, victimized by the system for centuries. So we think we should be coming to an end. Should be coming.
4:23.
4:23. It was supposed to start at 3, but it ran a little late.
Yeah.
Ran a little late.
What time the building closed, you said?
4:30. But
The building closed up.
sometimes trials go over, I think.
Okay. So we're gonna, weather permitting, we're gonna stay out here, keep this live going for as long as we can. One of the things that, my fault, these bailiffs piss me off. Got me in an author mindset. But as I was walking out, it was a sheriff, and he was bragging. He was bragging to the people in there, bragging to the other sheriffs about not having to wear a mask. That, I don't know. I gotta address that. I gotta address that. He wasn't wearing a mask. It was like 6 of them. They all had a mask on. It was probably below the nose or something. Whatever. But he was bragging to them that he don't have to wear a mask. He was bragging to them, like making fun of them for wearing masks.
He said his reason was he didn't have to wear one.
I don't know. I was just pissed. I was upset with the bailiffs already. So I came down and I saw him. They was all laughing about him not having to wear a mask. So then that made me think of the COVID outbreak that was in the jail last year. And the COVID outbreak, as the new variant is getting more prevalent, the type of carelessness and neglectfulness that these COs have. How do I want to phrase this? I don't. Let me draw back to this. I think we got sidetracked. I think we got sidetracked. No, never mind. I was bashing. Never mind. I don't want to say that.
And I think as we're waiting here, again, we waiting here for Antar's inside standing trial for being criminal trespass charge and an obstruction of justice charge stemming from an arrest on October 5th, 2020, outside of City Hall, where we had begun the occupation. It was on the 3rd day of the occupation when Antar was arrested. Again, it should be pointed out that Antar is having a bench trial right now. Antar is being represented by the public defender. It's again, another one of the things I believe is important to point out is that 2 other people were arrested at the same time that Antar was arrested. 6 people were arrested in total that day. One of the people who was arrested at the same time as Antar, with the same charges as Antar, same place as Antar, has had their charges dropped. Both their obstruction charge and their criminal trespass charge, which is, again, a discretion of the public defender. The state's attorney, excuse me, not the public defender, is at the discretion of the state's attorney. The state's attorney decided to drop the charges for this other protester. And at the same time that they decided to drop the charges for this other protester, they decided to go forward with the charges for Antar. And so that means that they believed that means that either they believe 2 things. Either they believe that somehow what Antar did was more criminal, or what Antar did was criminal, and what this other person did was not criminal because they dropped the charges. And to me, again, that goes to point out the hypocrisy, the hypocritical nature that exists within the legal system. Or the other thing is that they believed because the person whose charges that they dropped had a paid lawyer, as opposed to having a public defender, that they felt that they could either scare Antar into taking a plea because his lawyer was not of the same caliber. Again, I'm talking about their beliefs, of the same caliber as Asia's attorney, or they believe that they could win in trial because the lawyer wasn't the same caliber of Asia's attorney. But either one of those cases, either one of those determinations, both go towards the point that we are making, that this is not about justice, that this is not about protecting the community or even law and order, that this is about a game and about maneuvering in the game and about winning a game. And so there's besides us, we're in a very specific position in which we're protesting, we're demonstrating, we're documenting all of these things as they happen. And so the charges and the nature of our experience is vastly different than the people who have what would be considered higher charges or big or higher crimes. I can't imagine being in a situation where, and I'm sure that this has happened, where let's say a robbery is being said to have been committed. Me and another person get picked up, and this person can afford a lawyer, and they get a lawyer. I can't afford a lawyer, and this person has their charges dropped and dismissed, and I have to keep going forward with my charges. And again, this is something that, even though this is a hypothetical situation, is something that, based on our experience and based on just how statistics, is something that I'm sure has happened before, and that is something that goes completely against justice. And even besides that, when we get back to, and this is a little to the side some, but when we start having the conversation of what it means to have a public defender, or what it means to not be able to afford adequate representation, and then what is the percentage of people who get arrested who can't afford adequate representation. And when you live in a city, Rockford is not an affluent city. The neighborhoods that they patrol and that they police in are not primarily are not affluent neighborhoods, and so I'm sure a majority of the times people can't afford a can't afford a private lawyer and end up with the public defender. And then once the moment that happens, again, in my opinion, is when you get into the quicksand of injustice that exists. There are these specific things and these specific, sort of check marks that make it so that you achieving justice becomes more and more difficult. If you are born into a lower class or working class family, you being able to achieve justice when you are charged with the crime becomes more difficult. If you are born with any type of mental health issues, you achieving justice becomes more difficult. If you are of color, born a person of color, you achieving justice becomes more difficult. If you're a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, you achieving justice becomes more difficult. And then even if as what happens for a lot of these people, if depending on who your family is, you can have a brother that the police know, and that, or a uncle or a father that the police know or have had interactions with, and your last name can make it more difficult for you to be able to achieve justice. And again, this is one of the things that Michelle Alexander pointed out in the new Jim Crow. And again, I believe that Michelle Alexander is a lawyer, and so it's not surprising that it is outside of the Justice Center during a trial that we're recalling some of her statements more. But one of the other things she said is that the reason that the new Jim Crow, which is mass incarceration, the reason that it has perpetuated to the extent that it has, and has become so ingrained in our society to the extent that it has, is because people don't talk about these things. It's because you have a loved one that gets arrested and goes to jail, and it becomes a shameful thing. You don't want people to know about it. You don't want to talk about it. They get out of jail, and it's not something that they want to do. They don't want to talk about their experience in there. They don't want to recall those things for being traumatized, shame, a litany list of things that leads to that. But what she pointed out is that when those conversations don't happen, you don't get to find out just exactly what is going on when these people get arrested, when these people go to jail, when these people stand trial. And that is what I have found is the most prevalent thing in the city of Rockford. One of the number one instrument that's used in the city of Rockford, and that's ignorance. The ignorance of the black community, the ignorance of the white community, the ignorance of the poor community, the ignorance of the working class community, the ignorance of teenagers, the ignorance of children, the ignorance of adults, all different groups of people who just don't know. And again, I don't think that we're all ignorant when it comes to something. So I don't think that being told that you're ignorant on something is insult. A year and a half ago, I was very ignorant when it came to issues of mass incarceration, and when it came to issues of police terrorism and racial injustice. And that ignorance that I felt is what motivated me to become less ignorant and to become more knowledgeable. And I'm still very ignorant when it comes to certain things around the mass incarceration, racial injustice, and police terrorism. But I believe, again, the work that we have to begin to do is the work of informing and getting information. And I believe that once you get that information, the actions and the work that you do with that information begins to form your education and to get you educated on those things. And so this is, for us, is a crash course in educational crash course in trials, an educational crash course in the criminal justice system, an educational crash course in bench trials, educational crash course in how the public defender system works, how the state's attorney system works, how the police department works, and again, we just have to continue to do the job of being vessels. And once we get that information and once we get that education, being able to pour that into other people, with the understanding that we may not be able to pour it all into everybody at the same time. We might not be able to fill everybody's cups as quickly as we would like, but as long as we continue to do the job of trying to getting in the information, retaining the information, comprehending the information, and then spreading that to the community, we will get to a place where these things are not allowed to where these things don't happen, and ignorance of the community assist them in happening. I believe one of the steps we have to begin to try to get to is a step of where these institutional problems continue to exist, and these institutional problems still happen, but the community is less ignorant about them, and the community is paying more attention to them. And same way when the trials for the Metros who murdered Jovan Fresco comes up, I hope that it's more people tuning in then than tuned in now. When the next trial for whoever comes up, I hope more people are tuning in then than are tuning in now, and I hope that more people watch it after these videos are up. I hope that each one of these things gets more attention and more people watching, and I believe that, again, that is at the point where we can start to try to change some of these institutional problems and these institutional ills. And so, again, that was just sort of a recap of what we're doing here, why it's important that we are here, and some of the implications that will come out from this trial. And we're sitting here, it's 4:35, so we're about we don't know when it started, so we don't really know what time everything is going on at. But it is starting to rain a little bit.
We're supposed to start at 3.
The trial is supposed to start at 3. I think one of the other things too, this is a little bit off on a side note, but as we get ready to come to the end of the city market campaign, which will sort of also precipitate the end of the Food Truck Tuesday campaign in a sense, finding new events and finding new avenues for us to get the message out, and for us to different events and different protests, different demonstrations in some sense. And I think one of the things that has been common, or one of the things I felt when we went in front of the courthouse for Antar's last trial, and when we came here, and I felt it at City Hall last year, just sort of the inevitability of being back in this place, and the inevitability of having to at some point grapple with what is going on in here. And I think that it's a litany list of things that could pull us to here, and again, because I don't believe that what we are doing, for me personally, and me and you have conversations about this, trying to find a way to exist within what it is that we are doing now. I don't think that the occupation has a set time on it or a set day that's on it, but I also don't believe that it will continue to take the same shape and form that it's taking right now. I can see somebody being when the man who was arrested and charged for something he didn't do, murder he didn't commit, for a year, sat in this jail. We didn't know who he was or know anything about him. But I can see an instance in where somebody is in the jail for something that they didn't do, and that becomes a story that is a big deal, that is an outcry that this person is being falsely imprisoned, and that brings us here. I can think of what happened with Denzel Duvant when he was assaulted and beat. Maybe if the conditions were different, maybe while we were waiting for him to get out of jail after being beat like that, we would be outside of here. Maybe if I just say that it's a litany list of things that I see as sort of foreshadowing of things to come in the future, and very similar to how City Hall felt like that last year. And so I do think that being out here sort of encapsulates multiple issues that we're speaking of. This area that the Justice Center is in is on the west side of the city. Is in an area where racial injustice has permeated the whole community in this spot. There's people who come in and out of this jail on a regular basis who have been unjustly imprisoned and who have experiences and stories to tell. And so I do see, again, I'm not sure when or what capacity, but I do see us returning here and grappling with the evils of the Winnebago County Justice Center. It should also be pointed out that right behind this Justice Center is the county board, which is a place that we've went and we've chalked multiple times. And the truth of the matter is that because we are so much in the early stages of what it is that is happening here, and because we can accept that we're in the early stages, we just can't be at every place that deserves to be at. It should be an occupation at City Hall, should be an occupation at the Justice Center, should be an occupation at the courthouse, occupation at the county board, or maybe the people who did the occupation here could be maneuvering between the places. It should be an occupation at the police districts. Because again, I say that because being outside of these buildings, being outside of these institutions is one of the things that shakes the consciousness and shakes people out of their lethargy that are in the communities or that have to deal and grapple with being at these buildings. It's a lot of people who walk by the Justice Center and they don't think nothing else of it. They've already decided, they already know what it represents to them, and it's not being challenged. And they see us up here, and that can lead towards them being challenged. That can lead towards them. We got police, county sheriffs coming out, and so that is why I think it's important for us to be at these buildings, important for us to be at these institutions. Is because of those things. It's because we have to change what people's thought pattern is on these institutions. We have to change what people's beliefs are.
This gentleman here, Simon Lacan, is serving you a stalking no contact
Who
order.
is this?
It takes effect on this date right now, and it is valid till
But
this day.
I don't know who this is.
Somebody from down here. His address is on here for you. So he filed the order here. It's against for you. It's issued. The respondent is.
Oh, the maintenance guy.
Yep.
the racist maintenance guy.
Personally or through a third party. You can't have,
The racist maintenance guy.
you can't have any contact with the petitioner anyway. Through third parties, including the phone, written notes, mail, email, or social media. You have to stay 300 feet away from that address.
Okay, from his home address.
That's correct.
I've never been to his home, so
Okay,
that's
so you
fine.
have to stay away from that address, and then down here, you have to stay away from him, 25 feet away from him at all times.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So you can't have any kind of contact. Understand that?
Okay.
There is a court date on it. This is the court date for it, September 20th.
Okay. Simon Lacone. Simon G. Lacone. All right.
Alrighty.
All right.
So that's the courtroom. It'll be in the old courthouse up there on the 3rd floor.
All right.
By any means, social media, calls, text, fax.
These are just the papers, and this is what he wrote down to obtain the order in front of the judge.
On August 19th at approximately 9 a.m. All right.
Right now, you've been served. Okay, let's.
All right.
Alrighty.
All right. No, from his home. This home. That's his house.
You're not explaining it to me right.
You're
You
not
saying
letting me look at it. You say you don't want me to.
what do I need you to look at it?
Simon Lacone. Serve papers. Serve papers. Simon Lacone. This is white fragility.
Knowledge of this, and I don't want you.
Stalking no contact order. He put it. Why he put it? Why? I would think that he would do the opposite of putting his address on here. Now his address. Now I know where he live at.
You all good?
Don't you think that would be the opposite of what you would do?
Thomas A. Klein. I'm gonna find out.
What, you got somebody different or you got the same person? Simon G. Lacone has put out a stalking no contact order. Let's see.
Say 25 feet away from that all time.
We must stay 25 feet away from Simon Lacone at all times. All right. Let's see.
We're back.
So we got to stay away from Simon G. Lacone. His address at 4988 Chero Ave, Rockford, Illinois 61101. Never been there before. Let's see what he wrote. Let's see what he wrote. To whom? Okay. To whom this may concern, on August 19th, 2021, at approximately 9 o'clock a.m.
Okay, no. Are we back?
Okay, all right. So, okay, so this is Simon G. Lacone. This is the paper. These is all lies. All lies. But here, let me read through this. On August 19th, 2021, at approximately 9 o'clock a.m., Leslie Roth attempted to engage with me by yelling, "I know your name, Simon." I've never said I know. I can't even remember his name. I've never been able to remember his name.
Why bad with names?
I'm horrible with names. Now, I did tell him that we found out what his name was, but I did not say his name because I couldn't remember what it was. And that is all I need to know everything about you. I never said this. I never said this. Oh. Okay, let me try to read this one more time. On August 19, 2021, at approximately 9 o'clock a.m., Leslie Roth attempted to engage with me by yelling, "I know your name, Simon, and that is all I need to know everything about you. Let us not forget the writings on the sidewalks saying, quote, you all will pay for this." End quote. Bro, I want them to find the chalk writing that says you all will pay for this at City Hall. At City Hall, that's not what it says. There's no chalk that says that. I refused to engage, and he continued to call me a white racist as I walked away. Didn't call him a white racist. I just called him a racist. At approximately around 9:30 a.m., Leslie Roth again approached me, calling me a racist while I attempted to watch the graffiti 2 feet away from the entry on the south parking lot. It's chalk. It's not graffiti. As I walked back into the building, Leslie Roth then began to rewrite what I watched off and was angry. I wasn't angry. I just wanted to point out that Simon has never been able to do anything to make me angry. I didn't even know his name. I didn't even remember his name until a few minutes ago. When I seen a man ready to leave the building, I opened the door for him, and that is when Leslie approached me 2 feet away with a blunt cigar and blew his smoke in my face. That never happened. This shit has never happened. These are all lies. These is all lies. This harassment was witnessed by Luther, security guard at City Hall. Luther gonna be having to testify for you too. Luther gonna be doing some testifying. On August 19th, 2021, I was also approached by blank, and she told me that she told me that the bandage covering my name tag isn't helping because we already know your name already. I am continuously being harassed by name calling, threats of them knowing everything about me, and having them run up on me with their phones, recording me and putting me on Facebook. Nobody has threatened and saying that they know everything about him. Again, I
don't even care enough to know.
Nobody has even looked into this man more. These is all lies, blatant lies, because he's a racist. Because Simon, what's his name? Simon Cowell. His name, Simon Lacone. Simon G. Lacone is a racist. I think he's a racist too, though. On August 25th, 2021, at approximately 6:30 a.m. Oh, wait, no, I missed something. On August 20th, 2021. Oh, wait, no, damn, I gotta go back. I missed a bunch of shit. Okay. I am continuously being harassed by name calling, threats of them knowing everything about me, and having them run up on me with their phones, recording me and putting me on Facebook. These type of situations make it difficult and uncomfortable coming to work, and again, it seems like the actions of these protesters are escalating more. I'm afraid that it might escalate to the point where they may take it to my home and cause me and my family harm. Look at this shit that this man wrote. This is crazy. I'm afraid that it might escalate to the point where they may I'm afraid that it might escalate to the point where they may take it to my home and cause me and my family harm. If that was true, why would you tell us your address? Nobody knew where this man lived at. For his address. If he was worried about us going to his home, why would he volunteer his address? What's his address?
We're not. I'm not. Yeah, that's not what I'm doing. I just don't understand. I would not tell people my address if I was worried about them coming to my home. I feel like that would have been the exact opposite of what I would have done.
and cause me and my family harm. Think about this. This white man really lying about this shit. Okay, as for me, I'm experiencing anxiety, paranoia, and not sleeping well. Get the fuck out of here. The fear is they may execute harm to me and my family at my home. You cannot be serious. This is crazy. I have noticed that when I'm approached now, I hear the shaky anger in their voice and feel the body language of someone that is ready to explode. Why you put so much sauce on this shit? It's too much dip on your chips, Simon. Why did you put so much sauce on this?
Into his creative writing class.
Oh my God.
His creative writing class. His assignment.
August 20th, 2021. This morning, blank again told me, we know your name. How is that a threat? How is that a threat? This man is really trying to say that somebody saying they know his name is a threat. He wears a name badge. He wears a name badge. His name is not a secret. He's a public worker. You can look up his name. He really trying to use the, like, knowing his name is some type of a power, like he's some type of demon. That's what they do in, like, mythology. In like, demon mythology, if you learn the demon's name, he give you some type of power over him. Okay. And Leslie Roth yelled, Simon, you're a fucking white racist, you piece of shit. I said he was a racist piece of shit. That's a political term. Okay, and then again, August 25th, 2021. I mean, we did it one time. Damn. Go ahead.
On August 25th, 2021, at approximately 6:30 a.m., Blank started writing on the sidewalk 1 foot away from the south side entry and then continued onto the parking lot. At approximately 7:15 a.m., I unlocked the south entry doors to let some employees in. Blank then seen me and approached 10 feet away with her phone, recorded me and asked me, "Why did you take this job? To be fucking racist and to take the mayor's car to get fueled?" Answer me. Answer me. You racist piece of shit. After about 5 minutes, she began. After about 5 minutes, she walked away, calling me a fucking racist. Then Blank seen, who the fuck's Jesse? You know who Jesse is?
That's the one woman. It's the woman who be tearing down the memorials. Arch nemesis. That lady's arch nemesis.
Then Blank seen Jesse walking across the parking lot, and then she began to yell at her.
You might have to turn your phone down. Might catch it on the.
And she began to yell at her, "Don't look at me!" Oh damn! She said, "It's reported. It's said in here that Blank." Okay. The nasty name calling didn't stop until Jesse walked around the west side employee entry. She normally go in that entry. She be smoking out there. She normally go in that entry. She be smoking right there. That's her smoking spot. On August 25th, 2021, approximately 8:15 a.m., I went to the west entry door to see if the garbage was picked up with Luther, security guard. First of all, oh no, was that him when the garbage can flew across? Oh, that was him. That was Evil Terry. Okay, I thought that might have been him. Oh damn, I gotta go. Damn. Okay. Oh no! Spoilers. Okay. When Leslie Roth seen me from East State Street on the west side of the building, he began to yell, "You fucking racist piece of shit!" Several times. I don't know about several.
I caught him that shit twice. That's several. That's multiple.
This is today.
Yeah,
August.
All the way. Look at the back.
He went to today.
Wait till you get to the back.
Okay, but this, I thought the filing date said the 25th. Somewhere on here it said the 25th. Somewhere on here, let me find it. Somewhere, I might be tripping. No. I don't know. Everything say the 31st. Damn, he old. 61. Damn, he old.
Damn. He's 61 and he was born in 61.
He born in 61.
I make him like 61.
Yeah.
His ass too old to be fucking lying. I know that.
Okay. On August 31st today, 8:10 a.m. 8:10 a.m. went out to check on the trash pickup on the west side of the building with Luther. Wasn't we already at?
No.
We were just leaving. When Blank, myself, he's talking about me, and Leslie see me from East State Street. That's when Blank gave me the middle finger and called me a fucking racist, along with Ari. Leslie then began brushing his teeth and walked down the alley where I was standing and called me a piece of shit, fucking racist. 6 feet away. Oh, the back crazy.
Did he really trying to you don't know I got the right to say that? I can say that to him. What the hell?
Okay, so continued. August 31st, 2021, 8:30 a.m. I had to take the podium to the Veterans Memorial Hall for the swearing in for the chief of police. When I came out of the west side of the building, myself was setting up a stand for his camera. Leslie was writing on chalk, and when Blank seen me, she walked towards me and got about 2 feet away from me and called me a dickhead and a fucking racist. And nobody was 2 feet away from you, Simon.
They be trying to make it seem like they in such danger. It's crazy. They try to make themselves seem like they.
At 10:30 a.m., I had to pick up the podium from the Veterans Memorial. So I had Mark Kalowski. That's
Evil Terry?
I ain't know his name before, but now I know his name. Early on, he would come out, and I talked about it in the video earlier this morning. Early on, he would come out and he helped Kyle wash away the chalk. He a bigger guy. He got a beard. I don't know. If you saw him, you saw him. So I had Mark Kalowski. Is that how you say it? So I had Mark Kalowski meet me there, and at arrival, Blank, Ari, and Leslie were in front of the building, and when they see me get out of my vehicle, they began yelling at me. Racist piece of shit. And other and other names from about 100 feet away. We are 100 feet away from you. Blank then pulled out a camera and started to take a picture of me. When I went to the front door to get in the building, all three of them started yelling at me again at about 2 feet away, calling me fucking racist, piece of shit. But put an undershirt on? What? Ain't nobody's told you to put a.
Scared to come alone. Nobody said this shit. This man is making. Why is he giving this fucking? Who wrote this shit? Martin Scorsese. This is like a fucking Martin Scorsese.
Okay. Put an undershirt on. That's nuts. We ain't never told nobody to dress differently or talk about how anybody dress. We ain't never. What are you scared to come alone? You need the fucking police? You fucking piece of shit. That is when I walked over to a sheriff and asked him to stand by until we left and thanked him.
No, the next line.
This is as brutal as it gets. This is as brutal as it gets. Having someone get this close, yelling, calling you names, writing bad we ain't never wrote nothing about Simon.
Racist work there. But if you're not racist,
That's a general.
And if you're not a racist, it's not about you.
And making threats of, we ain't never made no type of threats of harming Simon. We ain't never made any type of threats.
Crazy.
Saying we know your name, that's not a threat.
No, he said making threats of harming.
Making threats of harming. Going to his home.
The home that we didn't know even existed.
If DB would read this, he'd say, "You are the watchman."
Weatherman.
The weatherman. My fault. The weatherman. The weatherman.
The watchman, though.
Watchman.
I wouldn't mind being a watchman either. I'd give it some powers. Man,
Oh,
I
my
just thought I just got done dealing with one of these motherfuckers.
This is not how when's that hearing?
Fucking 20.
The 20th? 20th.
Damn.
Dang, I got so much correlated.
Damn it.
Who's gonna fill up Tom's car with fuel on that day? He gonna be out here. Okay.
This motherfucker, wow, this crazy. I thought that they lied on that one
Okay.
joint. This is nuts.
This is crazy.
Making threats of harming.
Physical harm. Go into his home.
If we made threats to harm him, we would be in
What?
jail.
What? This say this for you?
What?
This like this.
Armed and dangerous?
No.
What's that? So, name of workplace, Subway.
This say that for you?
Respond to information. Subway, Edgebrook. Who work at Subway?
I don't know. Ain't nobody work at Subway.
I don't work at Subway.
Work at just Edgebrook?
I ain't never worked at Subway before.
I've actively not gone to Subway.
What Subway do? Subway boycott Subway? You boycotting Subway?
I don't know if you boycott Subway. Dang, this trial is going on for all. This is not how I thought this video was gonna end.
Wow, that's crazy.
Damn.
Wow, this
is crazy.
25 feet away.
25. Where you see what he asked for?
What did he ask for?
And that is part of the thing. What he had to ask for? Okay, so this is what he asked. He asked. Okay, this is what he asked for. I think
300 feet.
he asked for 300 feet, both from his home, which we didn't know or cared to find out beforehand, and from his place of employment, City Hall. Okay. Who is Thomas Clone? Why is the name on all these paperwork? What did it mean? He was circuit clerk. They say he was armed and dangerous.
Where it say something about his place of employment?
Dang, this paper getting all torn up. Not torn up, but it's all wet.
No, they got that scratched off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They
okay.
wanted. That's what he wanted. That's what he
told
wanted.
his
They
ass,
scratched
hell
it
no.
off. Hell no.
Look what he got. Look what he's starting with. He's starting with. I don't know if they ain't tell him how this shit. He started already with 25 feet. You already starting at 25 feet. It's gonna get lowered down from these 25 feet. And he lied all through the paperwork. I mean, everybody lie on their paperwork, so that ain't really that big of a deal. But 100%, these are the most egregious lies. Not even close. Not even close. Nobody has ever threatened to harm this man. This is just an old ass racist white man who is exhibiting this is all the forms of white fragility that we've seen, and we've seen this manifest in the mayor. We've seen this manifest in police officers. These white people out here are really trying to make people think that they are in danger because they are being filmed. The paperwork I got yesterday after court. That talked about my interaction with Marge and Kyle Bevers. Matthew Williams, the racist-ass police officer that comes to City Hall, did his best to make it seem as if me filming Marge and Kyle Bevers, who assisted in the assault of me, was somehow putting them in danger, or somehow that they were in some type of threat, or they had to be worried about something happening to them because they were being filmed. That's the same thing that Matthew Williams did. The phone in their face, or trying to use the word harassment next to filming a lot. And what they leave out in all of these things, especially what they leaving out in here, is that nobody has ever followed this man to his home or to anywhere else that he's been at. The only interactions we've ever had with this man are outside of City Hall. The only time anybody has ever said anything to this man has been after this man has engaged multiple times in racist microaggressions. And so it's not a surprise that he went and got this paperwork. It's not a surprise even that he lied on any of these things, but it goes to show exactly the type of people who work at City Hall. It goes to show exactly the type of administration that is ran at City Hall, and all of these things stem from chalk. That's really what this man is making this about, because this is what he does. Sometimes we write on the side of City Hall, on the sidewalk that's on the side of City Hall, not in the front or the back. And he has a little hose that can reach out there, so he goes and he brings his little hose out and he sprays the water on his little hose. The amount of interaction that we have had with this, man, who is really the woman? Oh, yeah, she drives the Patty. She was driving the Patty that day. She always be immobile. What about him? You recognize him?
He's a lawyer. That's not pertaining to the trial.
All right, we just had one of the cops who was a witness, we believe, for the Antar's trial, just walked out. We're still waiting for Antar to walk out. It's 5:04. The trial was scheduled to start at 3 o'clock. We got a little inclement weather, so doing a little bit of drizzling here. And again, this last little portion of the live has sort of been about this bullshit stalking no contact order that we were given, which has been a instrument that's been used multiple times now by the racist white people in Rockford. But this live initially was about and is about the trial that Antar is currently going through. Antar was charged with criminal trespass and obstruction of justice for doing nothing other than sitting in a chair outside of City Hall. We're waiting to see what the verdict is. Antar had a bench trial. He was represented by a public defender. Locking the doors. But that's like a locking the doors so that way when people come out, it lock.
Yeah, they can't go in.
Oh, it's making sure people can't come in. Okay. But it's not locking people inside. And so again, we're waiting for the results of this trial. Oh, that was Ellen. Oh, that wasn't Ellen. That was just some other random cop. And so September 20th, 2021 is when this hearing is set, 2:30 p.m. Have to.
Same judge?
Yep, Klein, right? Thomas Klein. That's his name, the judge.
No, I don't think so.
No, different judge. Different judge than with the Rockford Orthopedic. No stalking, no contact order. It's not looking like it's going to be a food truck Tuesday today. Looking like we're going to be calling off Food Truck Tuesday. We're sort of going in circles here, speaking about some of these things. We're sort of just waiting for some results to come back. Probably should. Oh, yeah, and the headphones, too. This has been these stalking no contact orders. This is the third time that somebody has, or the third or fourth iteration of these that we've dealt with. And again, it should just be pointed out before we transition back to speaking about Antar that we are outside of City Hall, not because nobody cares about Simon. Nobody gives a fuck about Simon. Simon is insignificant in what it is that we are doing at City Hall. Simon himself has decided to insert himself into the demonstrations at City Hall, into the protests at City Hall, by doing what I'm sure is being told to him by his higher ups. That look like Jay Hanley. No, that ain't Jay Hanley. And so again, we're waiting for Antar's trial to conclude. Antar is the first person of all the protesters to go to trial. Antar was arrested October 5th, 2020. Day 3 of the occupation of City Hall. We're currently on day 330. 330? What's the date? 331. Little. Oh yeah, you're right. All right, Kyle Saunders, one of the racist white men who was part of the arrest of Antar, or who was Kyle Saunders, the racist white man who runs Public Works, just walked out. He was one of the people who was the witnesses, one of the witnesses involved in the trial on behalf of the state's attorney. So we have people trickling out of the courthouse who we know to be involved in this trial. And so I would assume that the trial is finishing up and wrapping up, and we'll shortly here we'll see Antar come out, and we'll find out some information on exactly what went on in the trial and what the results of the trial were or are. And again, this is, I would imagine, coming up here in these next few months, this will be a place that we have a few more visits at. And again, this is another part of this is another part of the three-headed monster that we are dealing with in police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice. And this is sort of the face of the mass incarceration head of that monster. And again, all these things are all inextricably tied together. It's no way to combat one without combating all of them. And so just as much as we have to be, just as much as just as important as it was for us to go outside of the swearing in of Carla Red to highlight the police terrorism that the Rockford Police Department and the Winnebago County Sheriff deputies and other police institutions in the Winnebago County have been a part of, it's just as important for us to come here and highlight the crooked criminal justice system that perpetuates mass incarceration behind us. And again, as I've said, just being in this area and looking around in this area, the evils of racial injustice are displayed all around us and are displayed here as well. So again, whether it be through the Rockford readings that we've been doing, in which we read through pieces of literature and speak about how the issues highlighted in the pieces of literature correlate to the issues we're facing in Rockford, Illinois, and in Winnebago County, whether it be hosting protests and demonstrations at City Market and at Food Truck Tuesdays, whether it be the occupation that we host at City Hall, whether it be the live from occupied City Halls that we do when we have dialogue about issues in the city, or the podcast recordings that we've done, the podcast releases that we've done about these things. All of it is about educating the community, informing the community, and building up power for the community to be able to combat these issues, to be able to combat police terrorism, to be able to combat mass incarceration, to be able to combat racial injustice. And again, even as we're here, I grabbed this. We didn't want it to get to wet. Even as we sit here and sit with these papers are another form of racial injustice that's happening, and they also are a form of perpetuating of mass incarceration, because a violation of the things written in here will have you arrested and can have you locked up and imprisoned. And again, it's no way to separate the fact that this man who is being called a racist because he has acted in racist manners it's no way to separate that racism he is exhibiting in these papers from the racism that is exhibited by the police department, the racism that's exhibited by the state's attorney's office, or the racism that's exhibited by the mayor's administration. And again, sorry, we're in a place now where we just sort of waiting to see the results of what's going on here. So it's one of the reasons why I continue to look back slightly distracted. But we're waiting for again Antar to come out and to find out what the results of this trial are. So let's see. I don't know when the next person who is a protester is going to trial. You up next? 13th. Okay. 15th. So we'll see. That's your first trial status hearing, or the second trial status hearing. So it looks like Ari will be likely to be the next person that's up for that. Yeah, we in a place now where between this was a nice plot twist, and seeing Kyle Saunders come out and seeing one of the police officers that was involved in the arrest of Antar come out. We're sort of in a place we're just waiting to see a few of our people trickle out of here and find out what the verdict is. You got anything you want to?
I think it should be a no. I don't know if what you said when I was in the bathroom, but it should be a no that Simon don't do this on his own. Simon don't go out and fill out this paperwork on his own. Simon don't do this without, at the very least, the knowledge of Tom McNamara. I would think it would be far more likely that it was something that they planned together. He might have typed it in his office together. Oh, it's all tearing up. Oh, damn.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this Luther, the security guy. I can't wait to
Luther.
get him on the stand. Can't wait to
Luther.
get him on the stand. Luther. Yeah,
This is something that
this one I'm gonna go.
this really did provide us more knowledge than anything else. Like we said, we never protesting the city in general, injustices in the city.
As for me, I'm experiencing anxiety, paranoia, and not sleeping well. The fear is they may execute harm to me and my family at my home. Oh my God.
The only, and there is something to be said about him characterizing black people and people of color as angry and shaking with rage and being almost, I don't want to misquote this literature, but there is something to be said about having police officers, sending police officers to engage in some type of interactions with people who you characterize in this report as wanting to do some type of violent harm or wanting to do some type of harm, and that are to a point to where our voices shake with anger.
Yeah. Oh, this shit was. He got
And feel the body language of someone that is about to explode. It's something to be said about them same type of this awe. Why'd they have to give it to me in the rain? All these papers falling off. Okay. And I don't even know why they keep doubling down on this. That the respondent be prohibited from possessing a firearms owner's identification, a FOID card, or possessing or buying firearms. I think that's been on a lot of my paperwork.
Dangerous protester.
Don't say that. Don't say don't say that. Don't say.
You will pay for this.
You will pay. You all will pay for this.
That negates the stalking right there.
You all.
Stalking when it's all.
And this do come from a situation to where, same thing with the Rockford Orthopedic. Don't nobody care. I don't mean this in a disparaging way about the rest of his life, but don't nobody really care about Simon. Don't know. We not there for 330 odd days for Simon Lincoln. We not.
Cunnilingus and psychiatry. That's what got us here. It sounds like that's what got. And I want to. Let me see this too. And it sounds like that's what got him here too. He put in here that he's experiencing anxiety, paranoia, and not sleeping well. To me, like the fear that they may execute harm to me and my family at home. I think that that somebody should be checking to see if this man has any type of dementia. He's an elderly man. It should be checked to see if this man may be having dementia. This may be early onset Alzheimer's setting in. There's a list of things that this could be. So I think that Simon Cunnilingus needs somebody to check his medical records. And I would also say that I hope that as somebody who has experienced anxiety,
Is it diagnosed or self-diagnosed?
Mine was self-diagnosed, but I also wouldn't. Oh, Simon, that's the question to be had. Is this a self-diagnosis of anxiety, a self-diagnosis of paranoia, a self-diagnosis of not sleeping well, or has he seen a therapist? Has he seen a psychiatrist? And if he did see them, what dates? What is the dates that he was seeing this psychiatrist and this therapist? Also, it should be pointed out again when it says that people are making threats of harming him. I promise you, if anybody ever made threats of harming this man, they would be arrested. 100%. It's not even within question. If somebody made threats of harming this man, they would be arrested. We are in a place.
It would be a bigger story than there's no other situations where the city has put out allegations that city employees have been threatened. And they put out whole statements, running whole campaign ads against it. So, if there was any threats of violence, if there was any,
and this is the other thing that should be had too, should be said. To me, and this is a thing that I 100%, this is the first time I really had this thought, but it is true. This just goes to show you how mentally weak the white people here are. Let me tell you something right now. The racist, and this might not be true for every place in Mississippi, but I'll tell you one thing: the racist white people in Mississippi ain't never finna make themselves feel like victims to a few handful of people of color outside of the city hall. It's just not happening. The white people here, the white fragility is a real thing. When you are like, cause the Luther, the security guard that he's standing next to is a black man. And so he can't even be the type of racist that existed before, because he's standing next to the black security guard, and he obviously gonna use the black security guard to try to back up his story. So he want to be buddy and friendly with the black security guard still. And he don't want to be labeled racist. These people don't want to be labeled racist. That makes them weaker. That makes their racism weaker, because they are still racist. That is the Simon Cunnilingus is still a racist. But he does not want to be titled a racist, which makes him a weaker version of a racist. The same thing for Tom McNamara. He doesn't want to be entitled a racist. He doesn't want to be thought of as a racist. The type of racism that they engage. These are white nationalists, which is different from white supremacists. A white supremacist is not gonna. A white supremacist ain't work. A white supremacist wants you to try to come to his home where him and his white wife live at, so he can kill you. That's what he wants. Ain't no white supremacist gonna talk about they losing sleep because three people or a handful of people of color outside of City Hall. It ain't happening. Bull Connor wasn't losing no sleep over a handful of people of color outside of the City Hall. And so to me, each time that these things happen, whether it's Rockford Orthopedic, whether it's Simon Cunnilingus, whether it's Tom, no matter what set of people it is, when they start to try to victimize themselves, to make themselves look like the victims against the protests and demonstrations, is how I know that they weak. That they don't have the strength and the fortitude to see this type of movement all the way through. That if you continue to use pressure and exert pressure, because again, nobody I never blew no smoke in this man's face. That's fucking nuts. Like, I don't even like that would mean that I would like be smoking and like, it's no way. That's like blowing him a kiss. It's never happened. But the reason that they are trying to use all these things to criminalize us is because they do not have the mental fortitude, the psychological fortitude to see these things through and to deal with these things all the way through. And again, this is the beginning. It is the beginning of these things. These things come with ebb and flows. In the same way Ari just spoke about how it was 1,000 people on the streets after Mark Barmore died or was murdered. The same way that on May 30th we seen people take to the streets, and in the months following we see people take to the streets. As long as we continue to press the issue, as long as we continue to force people out of their lethargy, we will get to a place again where there are more people involved, where the ebbs or the flows, whichever one is which, comes back, and we will be able to withstand those things. What's happening for us is that adversity is strengthening us. That's all that this is you become strengthened through adversity. The more of this adversity that they choose to try to rain down or to implement against us, to me, the stronger that it makes it. The same way we were just talking about how you have to have firsthand experiences with certain of these situations to understand the gravity of them. That's true for these stalking no contact orders as well, and for the circuit courts of the circuit judges that deal with these stalking no contact orders. The fact that this man can just lie on the paperwork for these stalking no contact orders lets you know that it's all types of people lying on paperwork for stalking no contact orders. And when they do lie on this paperwork, people become at risk of going to jail. If you violate these things, you get arrested and you have to sit in jail. And so that it's a section of people who are inside of this jail right now, or have been inside of this jail because somebody lied on the stalking no contact order and they got arrested for violating it. So that's another one of the issues that's highlighted. And again, the manner in which people are, the manner in which the lies on this paperwork come out. I believe it's somewhere on here that says, oh yeah, here we go. Under the penalties of perjury as provided by law pursuant to section 109 of the Code of Civil Procedure, the undersigned certifies that the statements set forth in this instrument are true and correct, except as to matters herein stated to be on information and belief. As to such matters, the undersigned certifies as aforesaid that the undersigned verily believes the same to be true. And then he signed phone number on here. If nobody who's truly in fear of the things he said he was in fear of will put their phone number and their address and their zip code on this paperwork. Ain't no way you having paranoia and anxiety about something happening at your home that people don't know is even there. What up? What up? What up? And so again, this is just another example of how racial injustice works. Another example of how mass incarceration works. And again, another example of how weaponizing the police works. Man, these papers is getting killed. Damn, what time? It's like 5:30. Oh.
I think so. We just had shots fired at us. I heard it whiz by. Everybody's okay. Did it hit my car? Oh boy. I don't know. If it would, it'd be on the back, because they came from that way. Wow. We were just sitting here. Okay. Man, I heard it hit something, and I heard one whiz by my head, and I ducked, and everybody looked at me, and then another one, and everybody started running. All right. Wow. The dangers of being outside. We're still waiting on Antar. I don't know if they were actually shooting at us or if it was shots at each other and they just happened to shoot at us. But more than one bullet came within feet of us. All right, we're out here in front of the Justice Center getting shot at. That's the truth. I don't know what to tell you. It's crazy out here. Hopefully Antar gets done soon and we can get out of here. Thank you, Bobby. I'm glad nobody got hurt. Yeah, wow. Your normal commentators have left the scene though. they got the shots and they left. I don't even know if they're coming back. You might have to put up with me until Antar comes out here. Okay. We're waiting for Antar's sentencing, I would assume, because the witnesses have left. And so here they come. Coast is clear. If they're trying to shoot any of us, I'm sure they're trying to shoot those two. So maybe they're right to run away. I would have been an innocent bystander, I'm sure.
Damn. Shit, right here.
Oh, there it is. Wow. The bullet. Don't touch it. It hit your chair?
It hit this chair. Right here. It hit either chair or this. It hit one of these over here.
Wow. So we got the bullet. I don't know if you can see that. That's a big bullet. That is a big bullet. Yeah, we are outside. And this is the dangers. We were doing a live. We're waiting for Antar to come out of his sentencing because the witnesses have left. And I heard shots fired. And I looked.
Police at?
They don't give a fuck. I looked over to the west, and I didn't see anything. But then I heard and felt the air go by me, like a bullet went by me, and then I jumped. When I jumped, everybody looked at me like, what? And then this one hit, and then everybody left. That's close, bro.
Fuck yeah, that's close. Yeah, that's why I moved once I realized that the bullets was coming to us. Like I heard the shooting, but we in shooting central, we in shooting area. When the bullet hit something over here, that's when I knew the shots was coming this way. Before that, I didn't know where the shots was going. I ain't gonna want to run into the bullets.
I mean, yeah, it does seem like they were shooting at us.
Hell yeah!
It may be there is a maybe that it may be, but it does seem like multiple bullets came at us, and one of them came to rest within feet of Ari's chair.
It hit something here. That's why I moved.
It hit something here. I wonder if it hit the electronics bag. I don't know what could have stopped it.
That chair stopped.
It's either the chair or the table.
The chair or the table. If that bullet hit this chair, you would see. I mean, that is a big ass bullet. That wasn't out of a little gun. That is a big bullet.
It sounded big. It hit something right here. That's why I knew it was gonna be over here when I came. That's why I knew where to find it. Yeah, I knew it had to be. I moved once.
Yes, you moved. We seen you move. The video is gonna show you both moving very quickly. Because you guys were out of here.
Whatever, and this had to be the last one that they shot, because I ain't hear none of the other bullets hit.
No, yeah, because you see me?
Seen when you reacted.
I reacted because one came whizzing by.
Ah, okay, that's what I was
And then-
because I seen you react, but I couldn't figure out.
It came by my head. I heard it go woof. No, there's a bullet over here.
What?
There's a bullet right here.
The judge is going to go with that to close and set another date for the verdict.
Okay, we're hearing that Antar's trial is over. There's going to be another date for the verdict and the sentencing. So we don't. There's going to be no result.
Right here.
Oh, where?
Was it right here? Right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Ricky just found the place where the bullet hit the table. We just found the spot where it hit the table. Yeah, it hit the table. Right here. See it? Okay. Okay, all right, so we were going to wrap this up then? Or should we wait for Antar?
Wait for you. Wait as long as we can wait for you.
Okay. We're going to wait for Antar to come out, see if we get any words from him about how the trial went. But we've just heard that the trial is over and that they're setting another date. Yeah, that there's going to be another date set for the verdict and the sentencing. So we're not going to learn anything other than maybe if Antar comes out and tells us. Here he comes. Here he comes, the man of the...
You hear a shots fired call over your thing? Did you hear a shots fired call over your radio? Somebody just shot at us. Yep.
There's hail damage, so any dents, it would have to be a... Yeah, there's little dents on the top. All right, Antar, you want to say anything or about the trial? How you think it went? We out here getting shot at. Be careful where you're at because the bullet hit this table right here. Not that it's going to happen again.
Well, it's a lot of things. First, to see police officers and the director of public works lie, to see them lie in court like that, and that's the first thing. And I try to put myself in a position of young people or disenfranchised people that come to court and have to use a public defender. I probably could have got a lawyer, but I think one of the things that May 30th is demonstrating, even that lady, the shirt she's wearing, I told her she's my hero for wearing this shirt to court, because a lot of this is being done for people who come to court, don't know anything about the system, get chewed up by the system, and just experiencing this myself, or possibly been having to be under court supervision, or possibly having to come take drops, or all of these crazy things based on lies. One of the things they kept saying was that it was a crowd of people that was blocking the entrance. When the public defender didn't re-emphasize that it was only 3 people at the time of the arrest,
Right.
But the prosecutors kept trying to say that it was a large crowd that was blocking people's access. And then actually the police officer, she emphasized that she had been an officer for 20 years. She got caught lying. She said that she didn't write a report about the incident, and they had the report that she wrote. But the reason why they were not able to use, they chose not to use it, the public defender chose not to use that evidence because it's customary to summarize the events of the day. So the most important detail that the prosecutor's defense was built on, she forgot to mention that in her report. The thing that she forgot to mention, her report never mentioned us blocking access to the wheelchair ramp, but that was their main argument.
We weren't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not factual. The videos that are available show clearly that people were going in and out of the building around you 3. It was just 3 people in chairs. They could walk right on by.
And then the other thing, it's obvious that they we all know this. They all talk to each other. The judge, the attorneys, and different things. But that was wild to see that. And then Kyle Saunders was up there lying. So, but like I said, when you think of these type of shenanigans happening, when people are going to be facing felonies with some of these things, it's only a misdemeanor, and that's why to some degree I purposely didn't go through any length or extremes to try to prepare for the trial, because I wanted to put myself in a position that people that can't do this or can't, and what it's like to sit there with a public defender, and and the thing I noticed being in the courtroom while other cases were happening, over 98% of the cases were with people that couldn't afford an attorney.
Right. Oh yeah.
98%. This is for poor people. This is for poor people.
Yes.
This process, this whole system, it victimizes poor people. When a judge, and I don't know why you ask people to tell their income in public, but the second that people would sell their income, the judge was like, okay, I'm going to appoint you a public defender. But that's how disenfranchised the people are that are being filtered in and out of this building. And, just the fact that little small technicalities like the judge, we don't call police. Well, she's not. But and that's part of also what's important about what's happening, and what May 30th is doing is raising the consciousness of the people, changing the culture that is actually causing things to stay the way they are. Like going into that court system and seeing that, it's like white supremacy is what basically, not that I advise good people or people of color to actually become a part of this system, because I know that won't help either. There's evidence that if the judge was black, the attorneys were black, it would be the same thing. We have proof of that in Washington D.C. So that but it's still the fact that I wonder how intimidated this process is for people that don't know as much about it. Yeah, so unless you have some questions, that's pretty much the thoughts. All that the judge, September 15th, he's going to give his ruling.
Okay. Just to let you know, reason why I didn't go up there is because Kyle Saunders showed up, and I got no contact order. So I didn't feel comfortable going in there after I watched him go in there, which is really frustrating after following your case through all the court dates, not being able to be at the trial, not being able to hear how it went down. But we're gonna end this live. What we got? One more.
It was also obvious that Kyle and the police officer had talked together and came up with this lie, because the main thing that she said today, she left out of a report that she wrote. So it was obvious that these people are collaborating and lying. And over what would you come together and try to lie about this situation? It's a shame. And Kyle, if he's not fired, I mean, he's been involved in like 25, 30 incidents in which he's been the central figure in obstructing people's right to protest and assemble.
Yeah, and I found that, academically we can know a lot about that the police lie. Everybody knows that police lie, but it takes happening to you. It takes having you being involved. It takes you watching them lie, that with your own eyes that you've seen what happened and that they are lying, to really come clear as to what that actually means, that cops lie. Cops destroy people's lives over lies. And this goes on every day. I go to court frequently, and I've watched day after day the cops lie, and so when I see a cop, that's one of the first things I think about is that this is a liar.